Every crime leaves a trail. Every clue tells a story. And every truth demands to be uncovered.
All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today we've got some massive, breaking legal developments to talk about, all stemming from that wild White House Correspondents' Dinner shooting. We are looking directly at the very latest legal updates, the newly verified forensic data, and, crucially, we're going to separate the actual verified facts from all that early public speculation that was flying around. So let's just dive right in.
Okay, so here's the update that is literally changing the trajectory of the entire legal proceeding right now. 31-year-old suspect Cole Allen has officially been taken off suicide watch at the Washington, D.C. jail where he's currently being held. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, okay, sure, that just sounds like a standard procedural update, right? But in the context of this specific case, it has actually triggered a genuinely fascinating legal battle. The whole focus of the case has suddenly shifted away from the physical security breach at the dinner and zoomed way in on an intense, microscopic look at how the government is actually detaining this guy.
And that shift brings us to this highly unusual friction between the defense and the judge. Magistrate Judge Zia Faruqi actually came out and said he has, quote, grave concerns. But about what exactly? Well, Allen's defense lawyers had actually filed a motion to cancel a hearing that was scheduled just to discuss his removal from suicide watch. But Judge Faruqi, he flat out denied their request. He essentially said, no way, we are absolutely having this hearing because I have grave concerns about exactly why this suspect was kept in solitary confinement to begin with, and I want answers. It's this super rare moment where the judge is the one pushing hard for transparency about jail conditions, even while the defense is trying to pump the brakes.
Section 1. Inside the suspect's cell. Solitary confinement versus due process.
So typically when an inmate is brought in under these kinds of circumstances, standard procedure dictates a 72-hour medical isolation and suicide watch, really just for an initial assessment. It's totally baseline security stuff. But Allen's defense lawyers are claiming his experience went way beyond any baseline security. They're actually arguing in court documents that these restrictions amount to extreme violations of his constitutional rights under the Due Process Clause. So the really crucial point here is that this isn't just some run-of-the-mill debate over jail policy anymore. It's being elevated to a full-blown constitutional argument.
Because according to the defense, while Allen was sitting in medical isolation under 24-hour supervision, the restrictions he faced were severe. We're talking absolutely zero communication with his loved ones outside of jail. No personal items allowed, period. And critically, for a guy facing a massive trial, he couldn't even review his own case documents. On top of all that, he needed an escort just to take a shower and was strip-searched every single time he stepped foot inside or outside his cell. It just paints this incredibly vivid, stark picture of his daily reality in isolation, and it's exactly these conditions that the judge is now demanding the government explain.
Section 2. How the shooting unfolded. The April 25 incident.
Let's just quickly recap the actual chaotic event that landed Cole Allen in that jail cell in the first place. This was Saturday, April 25th at the annual White House Correspondents' Dinner at the Washington Hilton. And this wasn't just any dinner party. The room was absolutely packed with the highest levels of government. We're talking President Trump, Vice President J.D. Vance, and House Speaker Mike Johnson, all in attendance. The whole incident kicks off when the suspect, Allen, allegedly charges directly at a security checkpoint. This instantly leads to a rapid exchange of gunfire, and it all ends with Allen being arrested right there on the spot. Just an absolute high-stakes security nightmare.
But in the middle of all that chaos, how much gunfire was actually exchanged? 6. Exactly 6 shots were fired during this entire highly publicized encounter.
And now, verified forensic investigations have shown us exactly where those 6 shots came from, which really clears up a lot of that initial fog of war. The suspect, Cole Allen, fired exactly 1 shot. The other 5, those were fired by a Secret Service officer returning fire to neutralize the threat. It is so incredibly important for us to rely on this verified forensic breakdown rather than all those wild rumors that tend to spread like wildfire right after an event like this happens. Now, during that intense exchange, a Secret Service agent was actually hit, but in this truly miraculous detail, the bullet struck his bulletproof vest, and it looks like it actually hit a cell phone he had tucked right inside his pocket. Because of that, the officer totally avoided serious injury. It's just one of those crazy, split-second, millimeters matter kind of details that literally changes everything.
Right after the shooting happened, there was a ton of intense speculation online and in the media. Some reports were even suggesting that maybe the Secret Service agent was hit by friendly fire in the sheer chaos of those 5 return shots. Well, we can completely put that rumor to bed right now. Speaking on CNN's State of the Union, U.S. Attorney Jeanine Pirro came right out and stated that investigators have determined the bullet that struck the agent was, quote, definitively shot by Cole Allen.
So that's an absolute critical piece of forensic confirmation right from federal officials.
So based on those actions and that rock-solid forensic evidence, the pending federal charges Allen is looking at are incredibly severe. He is officially being charged with attempting to assassinate former President Trump. And on top of that massive charge, he's also facing 2 additional firearms-related charges stemming from the incident. I do want to note, however, that while Allen has made his initial appearance in federal court, he actually hasn't entered a plea to these charges just yet.
Section 3. The legal road ahead. What's next in the judicial process?
All right, so let's walk through the upcoming legal milestones step by step. Step 1 is that highly anticipated Monday hearing we were talking about earlier. Remember, despite the defense actively trying to cancel it, Judge Faruqi is firmly demanding answers on the record regarding Allen's intense medical isolation and suicide watch. Step 2 has to do with his location. Allen has formally agreed to remain detained in jail until his trial. Now, it's a little unclear right now if his removal from suicide watch means he's getting transferred to a totally different facility, but either way, he is definitely staying behind bars. And finally, Step 3. A major preliminary hearing is firmly set on the calendar for May 11th, and that's where we're likely going to see a lot more evidence presented.
Which really just leaves us with one final burning question today. What answers is the judge going to uncover about Allen's time in isolation? Think about it. We've got a suspect accused of attempting to assassinate a former president, now actively clashing with the justice system over his constitutional rights while sitting in solitary confinement. How the government attempts to justify those extreme restrictions, especially under the scrutiny of a judge who already has grave concerns, is going to set the tone for this entire trial. Are the defense attorneys going to successfully argue his rights were violated, or will the government prove that an extreme threat absolutely required extreme measures? Keep that in the back of your mind as we wait for the next explosive update from the courtroom. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. I really hope this deep dive gave you a crystal clear understanding of where this historic case stands today. Keep learning, and I'll see you next time.